Hello, Una from Oz here. I've chosen to make these pretty embellished tags. The large size tags fit perfectly into a standard posting envelope. So first of all, I cut out the tags from some recycled cardboard using a die. I'm going to give it a coat of gesso, back and front. So now I've given them a coat of gesso. I decided that they were quite flimsy, so to give them a bit more substance, I cut out 3 exact Christmas paper backs, and I'm just going to glue them down. The backs I leave blank because they are able to be written on, so these tags would make a good substitute for a Christmas card. So now I'm going to put some napkins on the front of each card. I love napkins. I've chosen some Christmas themed ones. I'm using some matte medium, quite a generous amount, but make sure I don't leave globs of it to stick the napkins down. You also need to put a coat of matte medium or whatever glue you're using over the top of the napkin to seal it. Just remember that wet napkins are quite fragile and you can tear holes in them if you aren't careful. I do like using napkins as backgrounds. I think they're very versatile. I have a huge collection, but unfortunately I don't actually have a lot of Christmas ones. Once I have stuck all the napkins down, I sit them aside to dry. You could also dry them with a heat tool if necessary. So now I'm going to start the embellishments. I'm punching some flowers in red and green. I'm going to shape them and stack them together. You could use any style of flower punch. So I'm using the paper piercing tool just to shape the flowers a little, to give them a little 3D structure. I was going to try and bend the petals on the small ones, but they really just are too small. So I thought I would just shape the petals by pressing the petals up a little bit, just to help them sit nicely in the center of the flower. I'm just using a little bit of strong glue to put them together. I'm also going to stamp some leaves in green on a paler green cardstock. and fussy cut them out. So I'm now taking off the excess of the napkin. You can do it with scissors or with your fingers. I don't mind that slightly frayed look at the edge. I think it's quite nice. But if you want a nice straight edge, just carefully take it off with the scissors. So now I'm doing a little stamping. My stamp has some Christmas words on it, and I'm just going to stamp around the tag a little bit. I'm changing colour to a grey, and I'm doing some more stamping with some stars and snowflakes. I thought stamping all in black might be a little much, and the grey went nice with the grey trees, Christmas trees, on the napkin itself. So moving on to a little collage. I've just got some scraps of paper, just to add another layer and a little bit more interest on the back of the tag. So I'm starting with some more embellishments. I use a little tape to just hold them down. I'm putting on a piece of lace and a piece of ribbon, and then I'm going to run that just straight through the sewing machine. I do like the sewn edge look. Again, to add a little bit more texture and interest. So I've done the row of sewing. Now I'm just trimming the edges off, straightening up a little bit of the tag edge. And I'm using some red ink just to colour the edges. I have die cut some flourishes in a gold mirror card, and now I'm gluing them down. They're very sparkly. Because I'm gluing it over the ribbon, it did take a little to adhere it. So I actually sat it under a book for a couple of minutes just to make sure that they all stayed put. Moving on to adding the flowers. I'd pre-arranged where I wanted to put my flowers, just so I had a better idea of where I was going to put my flourishes and everything else. Now we're going to add some bling, because Christmas isn't Christmas without some nice sparklies. And these are just little plain clear rhinestones. I've got a little charm here. It's quite heavy. I've attached a little bit of red and white Christmas coloured twine, but it needs quite a lot of glue because the middle is hollow, and that'll need to sit to adhere to the tag. Now adding some Christmas bling again. I've got some stickles in red, and the other colour I'm using is a Christmas colour with green plus others. I sometimes put this on with my finger, but because I wanted to put it on the petals, I thought putting it on with a paintbrush was a better idea. It's just going to add a nice little bit of a Christmas sparkle. And here was a Christmassy green. It is a green, but it does have a little bit of silver and a little touch of red in it as well. Can't have too much sparkle at Christmas. Time to add the hole and the twine. I'm using a red and white twine, the same I used on the charm. And the tag is finished. It just needs to sit aside to dry. So moving on to the second tag, I really like this napkin. It's in more grey silvery pastel tones. So moving the excess of the napkin. Onto a little stamping. I'm using the same stamp and black. Again, just stamping around the tag to add a little bit more interest. Changing colours to grey. I've got a heart stamp, a star stamp, and a little spray of small stars. The grey actually blends really nice with the background in this tag because the background is quite a silvery grey. Onto the collage. 3 little pieces of leftover music paper. If you're wondering what my glue book is, it's an old phone book. Adding a little bit of silver edged ribbon, using the tape to hold it down, and I'm going to run that through the sewing machine. So the sewing is done, and I'm now trimming off the excess ribbon, and I'm going to edge it in a metallic blue, which is matching the blue tones in the napkin. I haven't used this ink before, and it is slightly shimmery on the paper. So I die cut a large flourish in a silvery sparkly silver bling, as we call it, paper. Adding my die cut stars. I die cut them from a silver mirror card, and then I also ran them through the press embossing folder, which has stars on it as well. It's to make a nice cohesive tag so everything goes together. So now I'm punching some silver mirror card snowflakes. These are really cute and they add an extra element and a lot of shine. It's time to put the twine on. I'm using a blue and white twine. And as you can see, I made a real mess of putting that on, so I changed my mind and decided I was just going to tie a half knot. I've also got a little charm. It's a little candy cane, tying the blue and white twine on. I've got some strips of small rhinestones. I'm going to just use my paper piercer and put them around the page, well, tag. So tag number 2 is finished. Again, it needs to be set aside to let all that glue dry. Moving on to the final tag with the holly napkin. It is bright and colourful. Very traditional Christmas colours of red and green. Removing the excess napkin. Just trimming up the real sticky out bits. Using the same stamp. Some stamping in black. This is quite a bold background, given that the red and green on it is so bright. Moving on to a little collage. I've got 2 strips of paper there, again leftover music paper. And I'm going to tape down my piece of hessian, which has a little bit of red glitter through it. And I've got a little piece of ribbon. And I'm going to then run it through the sewing machine, as per the other ones. So the sewing is done. I'm now trimming off the leftover edges and using a red ink to colour the edges. I die cut a holly leaf, once from light green and once from dark green, and also the berries in red. I then dismantled it and now I'm putting it back together, and I'm actually gluing it down to some gold mirror card. I didn't know if this would work, but I was going to give it a go. Because it is such a fine die cut, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to put it back together. So while the glue is wet, it's still movable. So I'm trying to work quickly so I still have time to move the thin pieces of the leaf around so I can get it all back into the correct spot. A bit like a jigsaw puzzle. I was actually quite surprised how well it worked, because I really didn't think I was going to be able to get it back together. Maybe it would have been easier if I actually cut it out on sticky paper. So now I'm just doing a quick fussy cut around the holly. I'm leaving a gold edge so the gold will be visible. I've also got a gold sparkly edge on the piece of ribbon that I used on the bottom. Now to glue it down. I've got some large acrylic clear rhinestones. They are quite big, but I thought they would give a nice contrast and add another dimension to the tag. They are like faceted domes, so they do catch the eye and sparkle a little bit. Again, with the Christmas coloured stickles and the paintbrush, and I decided to add a little bit to those faceted domes as well, just to make them stand out a little more. Onto the Christmas green. I've got a little Santa charm. I've put some Christmas red and white ribbon through him, and we're going to glue him down. And I've got a little red bow, which is awfully cute. Again, going to put that next to the little charm. So now it's time to punch the hole and put the twine through. I've chosen the same red and white twine, and this time I'm going to tie a bow. Didn't do the best job on the bow, so I actually ended up redoing it. So here's my final 3 tags. I'm really happy with them. They're very Christmassy, very blingy. I'm really happy with how they turned out. The napkins certainly make a very easy and eye-catching background. Particularly like this blue one. I think the colours are terrific. Lots of shine, lots of sparkle. Very, very Christmassy. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And keep an eye out for my next video. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, as I am certainly going to do so. Bye bye.